Will Blackmon, 12 years, a Super Bowl, former Packer, Giant, Jaguar, Washington, friend of Aaron Rodgers. Have you been in a text relationship with Aaron this offseason?
That's classified.
No, texting's classified?
Yes.
He seems happy.
He seems excited, yeah.
I mean, to go from Green Bay nightlife to New York, he's at the Tony Awards.
He said Green Bay nightlife. We had a club back then called Club 5-6, and it was owned by Nick Barnett, our linebacker.
Yeah, the former Oregon State guy.
Yeah.
He owned a club in Green Bay.
He owned a club in Green Bay.
Like, what kind of club was it?
Like an actual club.
Could you get bottled service?
Yes. You might get a cheese curd with it, but it's
Wow. So, he's at Tony Awards and NBA. New York's like when you were a Giant. Did you, like the first year, were you going out and having a good time?
You know what I noticed? When I was a Giant, like we had to be to the facility by, I don't know, like 6:30, 6:45. And when I was in Green Bay, we always showed up in like, our sweats or issued gear. But guys came to work dressed up like they were going to go out. Like they were, dressed to the nines. And sure enough, after practice, guys would go to the city because they were going out. That was, I came from Green Bay, went to New York. So yeah, I get it.
You totally get it.
I totally get it.
It'll be fun though. It's a little younger team. I've theorized that Aaron knows it didn't play well nationally when he was more into Randall Cobb and Bakhtiari and the older guys. And there was a sense that, come on, dude, you got to connect with young guys. So he goes to New York and he's made it very clear. He's hanging out. He likes the young guys. It feels like he's learning. Like I said, when you get a divorce, what didn't work here? I want to correct what I did there. It does feel like he's embracing youth and young teammates.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the glaring thing is like, hey, when he came over here, he's really trying to let it be known that despite whatever everyone heard in terms of his leadership, his commitment, like he's here, he's all in to make this thing work. So that's really cool to see that from afar.
Yeah. So DeAndre Hopkins, you're a star receiver. Titans have Vrabel, tough kind of run game coach. Patriots have that defensive culture. Why do you think those two? Like, I think he fits New England perfectly.
For sure.
If you had to choose one, where would you go?
Well, I would say why those two is, it's because they were in Houston with him. So they witnessed his greatness when he was arguably the best receiver, for like 3 years in Houston. But I look at New England, and of course you have, Bill O'Brien, his coordinator who understands, what he likes to do. DeAndre understands the terminology, but it's still a question in terms of, can Mac Jones get him the football?
You worry about that?
I don't say I worry about it, but it's still, it's not like for sure.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Just big picture. I think Mac is a capable quarterback, but it's just still big picture. And then you look at Tennessee, and then, you have, I think the defense is going to be much better this year. You have the run game for sure. And, Vrabel's there, but also there's even more of a glaring question in terms of quarterback there. So it's a matter of what does he want in terms of that? And obviously I don't know the money situation as well,
right,
what he's looking for. So
when it's funny about when you come into the league, I was talking about, I've changed my mind. So I did my NFL predictions pre-exhibition season, and I flipped my mind on the Ravens and the Steelers. I'm going to put the Steelers and Ravens out, mostly because
out of what?
In the AFC, I have 7 playoff teams.
Okay.
And I came down to the Ravens and Steelers, initially picked Lamar and the Ravens. Now I've gone to the Steelers. And my reason was this. You take the Steelers' top 8 players, 7 of them never get hurt, and TJ Watt's been hurt once. If you take the top 7 players for the Ravens, outside of Mark Andrews, they all have an injury history.
For sure.
And it's like at some point in a longer NFL season with 17 games, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh's health. That, and they played their arse off at the end of last year. That, and they have 6 quarterbacks who are sort of in the Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud class. You don't know what you're getting. How long do you think, because they played well at the end of the year, when you had a young quarterback around, do you think the veterans look at Kenny as the guy? Like, how long did it take you to go, oh, he can play? Because you can tell with a receiver at the second practice. You can tell with a corner. Okay, but quarterback is leadership, resilience, guile. It's a lot of stuff. Not hard to quantify. How long is it for a roster full of dudes to go, that's the dude for the next 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, it can take a week. It could take a few days. It could take one throw. I'll go back to Boston College when we had a freshman come in, and he was on the scout team, and Matt Ryan, and he was dicing us up every practice. And we haven't had that at Boston College.
He was a freshman.
Like lighting us up. And there was a game when he finally started to play. He was about 19 years old. There was a game where we were on national TV versus NC State, and they had the number one defense in the country. We had a delay a game because the call got in late. So Matt Ryan goes over to Coach Tom O'Brien and Dana Bible, who were two guys that struck fear in all of our players. And he went and lit them up on the sideline because he didn't get the call in on time. And all of us were like, we never seen this. Like, no one talks to our coaches like that. And he went off. Then he gets back in the huddle, gets the play, looks at me. He's like, get ready to score. And I'm a senior. I'm like, all right. So sure enough, I run, get open, touchdown. And I felt that. So I think in terms of like his commitment, this is Kenny Pickett, his commitment, how he is in terms of just how he goes about his business. And you can just, it's a feeling. It's kind of like you just, as a child, when you know someone is for you or not with you. So I think for him, it's just more of an energy, a feeling. And then you really get to find out how he handles adversity. That's the biggest thing when it comes to a quarterback evaluation. Like, how is he when he is facing adversity?
Yeah. Playing from behind, 4 to go, good defense.
Right.
Your Matt Ryan story.
Right.
So I look at the 49ers as the best roster in the league. And I also look, just in terms, Fred Warner is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Right.
George Kittle, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuels.
Hufanga, who's arguably probably the best safety. I watched his tape.
Bosa. These are Hall of Famers.
Right.
Like, no team has 8 potential Hall of Famers. Hufanga's really good.
He's really good.
And then you have Brock Purdy. And are you surprised that the 7th round pick in the draft came in with all those dudes from Iowa State and like, all right, it's my team? Isn't that kind of surprising? Like, I never once thought he's nervous. Now, there are throws he can't make like other guys. Mm-hmm. I never once watched him and said, nervous feet, he's out of his element. I've seen first-round picks do that. Were you surprised at all? That locker room is full of rich Hall of Famers, dudes that have gone to Super Bowls. Like, dudes.
The GM's a Hall of Famer, too.
I know.
I did not expect him to come in and play well like that. At the same time, I am not surprised just based on, like you said, the players, the culture, and the coach that is around him that will put him in position to succeed. So no, I didn't expect anything, but I wasn't surprised. Also, too, like I felt like in the Big 12, like that's just a quarterback dicing everybody up type.
Well, they throw it 58 times.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you saw that a lot with him. Like he's like, I'm just gonna throw it, run around in circles, throw it, all the unorthodox throws that you're not supposed to do. Like that's what he is comfortable doing. And sure enough, Kyle encourages it.
What did you make of the Stephon Diggs drama with the Bills? What do you make? To me, it's like when stuff. I always say if you go to a party and a couple's fighting, they can't even restrain themselves publicly. It's way worse in the car. It's way worse driving home. Like they can't even stop arguing at a party publicly. If Stephon Diggs is going public with stuff, something's up, right? Would you have gone to social media?
No, I don't say anything on social media when it comes to the personal stuff. But I don't know. There was that moment in the playoffs where he raised his hand up to Josh, and I saw that. I was like, man, like I wonder what that is. But like, 'tis the season for off-season drama. Like this is right now. This is where people are trying to figure things out. Everyone's getting emotional. I think was it June 1st where you can cut somebody and it won't destroy you cap wise. You saw. Dalvin Cook get released, which...
What'd you make of that?
That was mind-boggling.
I think he's great.
I think he's awesome. Yeah.
I don't quite get it.
Yeah. So, again, this is the season where a lot of things are going on. So, he's there now. And usually what I learned is that when you have when you lose or you have tough losses, other things are magnified, And so I think right now guys are figured out, but this is the time of year where teams have these tough conversations and figure it out before September rolls around.
Does it get personal with money and stuff? Like, how personal?
It does get personal with money in terms of when a player knows his worth and his value. Because then you look at the front office and you're like, hey, well, apparently you don't respect me or my value or what I'm worth. So it does become personal. Was
there anybody in the front office you resented at some point in your career?
That I resented?
They didn't treat you right, or you don't have to love every coach. But I always think the money things, because your money's public. If I'm in a law firm, money's not public.
Right.
Your money's public.
No, I wouldn't say there's anyone. I don't resent anyone, but I did, I didn't like when I got released from teams. Like,
how did they do it?
I would say this. Most teams, I would say every team pretty much called me and had a conversation. When I got released from Green Bay, I met with, the late Ted Thompson, and I remember he couldn't get a word out. Like, he was really emotional about it.
Because he drafted you.
He drafted me, yeah. And so that was a tough one. I remember the last time I got released, when I got released from Washington, I remember they called me in the building, and I was like, I'm not coming in the building. They're like, why? I was like, because anything you guys could have told me now, you could have told me a month ago.
Yeah.
And I would have asked to got released then, and I could have went somewhere else.
You knew you were oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Like, if you told me earlier, like, if you knew I was going to be on, because they signed Swearinger, Sua was going to be safe, and they signed David Bruton too. And so I'm like, I remember I called Bruce Allen, like, hey, you signed these guys, like what's up? Because I just moved to safety. And so towards the end of the year, when I got released, I told him I was coming to the building. And I remember Bruce called me, and he's like, hey, I still want to sit down and meet. So he's like, pick a place, we'll meet. So we ended up having dinner, Bruce Allen and I, and we just talked about it. And, he was honest. I respect that he did that. Yeah, it was cool.
Those are tough conversations.
They are, but at this point, I already had so many tough conversations. I already been through so much where, the one thing that I would say, if I could pat myself on the back, is I try my best not to take it personal.
Yeah, it's hard, though.
And just knew it was business.
Yeah.
Like, when I got released from Seattle, I knew John Snyder didn't do it because he didn't like me as a person.
Right.
He made a business decision. So,
yeah.
Damn, I got released a lot now that I'm talking about it.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to bring up bad memories. It's just the reality.
No, it is what it is.
So now, what are you doing right now? Anything we should know about?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nothing.
There's a lot of stuff on the street.
There's a lot going on.
Nothing?
No.
Besides the wine business?
Besides the wine business.
Nothing.
No.
All right. Well, there's opportunity if you have anything to promote.
I have nothing to promote.
All right. Just making sure. Do you have any NFL questions you got for Will?
Yeah. We haven't talked about the Cowboys a lot lately, Cowherd.
No, come on.
I wonder what Will thinks about what's going on.
What do you make of their personnel? That's all my only question about them. What do you make? Because I
think
their
roster.
Okay, let me ask you. CeeDee Lamb twists an ankle. Who am I throwing to?
Brandon Cooks. What?
15?
Huh? And 1,000 like every team, right?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I worry about them. I always worry about, like I've said this about Buffalo. Stephon Diggs twists an ankle. Who are we throwing to? Jamar Chase got hurt. I got T. Higgins. I'm good. I got a good tight end. I always worry about that. You got to give me a second guy.
I just gave you. You're like going. I just gave you an answer.
But Dalton Schultz is gone.
Yep.
Zeke is done.
So to Cowherd's point, continuity matters in the league, Will.
For sure, no question.
So they lose their OC. They lose the heartbeat of that team in Zeke Elliott. He is the guy behind the scenes, the party animal. Everybody looks up to him. They lose Dalton Schultz. That's three big pieces on that offense. That's a lot to replace in an offseason where you went to the playoffs and you're looking kind of good and played the Niners tough. You don't think there's any
This is
questions?
true. I mean, the only thing I would say adjustment-wise is, just cut down the turnovers. That's the biggest thing because the past 2 years, the defense led the league in turnovers.
Yeah.
I would say right now, the energy, like, in terms of what the defense is doing, like, they keep doing that. And just cut down the turnovers. They were 12-5 2 years in a row, and, again, led the league in turnovers. And that's going to be the big difference. If they can just protect the football better, that's going to help them a ton.
All right. Where are you going now? A wine event? U.S. Open?
I was going to go to U.S. Open. My son has a basketball tournament tonight, so going to hang out there, be a dad.
Oh, good for you.
That's the best job.
Yeah, sure is. At least that's what they say. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.